Hello everyone. So this is Journalism 2050 course, News and Information Literacy, and I'm the instructor of this course. My name is Raja Das, and today we are here to discuss on a very important topic, basic of news, which is included in the course syllabus of this course. And I hope that this video will be helpful for both the online Athens campus students and the e-campus students. I also hope that each one of you will try to make the maximum use of this video after it is uploaded in the Blackboard. So let's get started with the video. I have very few slides, so I will just try to make you explain in a very short video. I tried my best to keep the video short. So when we say about basic of news, I'm not telling about how do we write news, how do we read news, or how do we evaluate news. It is obviously an assessment of the news. It is obviously but before that I should say this, that it is a compilation of all these three things: reading, writing, and evaluating. But it is also something beyond these three, and which is about the context of the news. When I say basic of news, it is about the context, the contextual reading of the news. If you do not have a context to your news, you do not have any news value. So let just look at this picture. So you have a small child, with such a cute little child with red cheeks, but tied into an tied with an iron bar to a pole by the side of the street somewhere in China. So this is a very disturbing picture. In the very first reaction that I had while I went through this, or while I came across this picture, it actually disturbed my mind. But yeah, when you get to read something below this picture like this, the immediate reaction that I had was completely erased. Okay, so this is what it was written there, that however behind the image of 2-year-old Jingdan lies a tale not of intentional cruelty, but it seems one of misplaced love and fear. His sister disappeared from the same spot just 2 weeks ago, and then it is followed by the child's father's quotation: "I was afraid I would lose him too," their father Chen Chenlu said today. So it is the very first reaction that I had, the disturbing reaction, so that got immediately erased. It is it is of sad. We do have some sad event related to this. As I read out these sentences, I just found out the context to the story. So this is what is I'm trying to explain. The context is the most powerful weapon in a news story. Until and unless you put the context, the historical, social, cultural, political, economical context to the story, you do not have news value to that. You do not add value to the news. So this will be simply writing something without any context, without writing a news without any context, means a non-news fiction. That will be a kind of a fiction. You're writing a fiction. So I have put the link to the entire story of that photograph there. So once I upload my video, I will also upload the PPT where you will find the link. You can go through the link and read out the entire story. You will come out understanding how powerful the context is. So just assuming over what might have happened with this little child, it actually is it actually is wrong, because it will bring misinterpretation to the story. Now when I say, yeah, this is what I was telling about the news context. It is about the background study of it may be of any places, it may be of some people, it may be of some events. So there has emerged a new trend of finding news context to the story. This is about suggested news. When you complete a news story, you will find at the very below, this has become a new trend now: related stories. Some media outlet will give suggested news. So this is a way to familiarize people with the news, because it is not possible to give you the entirety of the news just in the lead, in the very first sentence of a news. It is not, even it is not possible through a single story, 250 to 300 or 300 to 350 words, in order to give you the glimpse of the Russia-Ukraine war. It is not possible. Yeah, so context is important, and in order to put context into your story, you may have to run a series of, episodes to that, related to that issue, related to that, news. So it familiarizes us with the background of the news. It is also something about the credibility. Yeah, context gives the credibility of the news, the reliability of the news. It also gives you an accurate information. So without all these things, that means without the contextual reading of the news, you are not getting what is actually happening on the ground, right? So this is all about the context of the news. This is an example which I have put here from the New York Times, which was published a few days ago on August 24. So the headline is 6 months into war, Ukraine and Russia are both reshaped. So it's not, as I said, it's not possible to cover the entire Russia-Ukraine war only in this story, right? And that's why after completing this story, they have this thing. They have changed the terminologies. Different media outlets use different terminologies. Some uses suggested news, some uses related news. So it is the way the New York Times has given. Better understand the Russian-Ukraine war. They have put the history on the ground, outside presses, everything here. So this is a way of giving context to the reading. So suggested news, related news, this has become a new context. Yeah, this has become a new way of, giving context to the news story. Context can also be given, within a news studio. It's not only that only the news paper, the print media have to write the context. Even it is also related to the broadcast news channel. You might have come across so many of the news presenters, so many of the news shows, the primetime news shows, where a panelist of experts are invited, and then in the very live show, the news presenter will directly go to the reporter who is there on the ground. So why do they why do they do show? Why? What is the main purpose of, inviting the panelist of expert, going live, going live with the reporter on the ground? It is a way to bring in context within the newsroom studio, right? So I've also put the, link here of one news show from BBC. So you may go through the link, and there are several videos you'll find in YouTube. So I'll put all those, links in my study material section of the Blackboard. You can find it there. So experts and the ground reporting, they also facilitates, the news context inside the newsroom. This is what I'm actually trying to explain. Apart from the news context, there is another important, element, which is about the news content. Not we discussed about the context, now it is about the content. So without the content, if you only give importance to the news context, as I said, historical, political, cultural, so that will be something like, a historical thing. For example, if you are putting a historical context to a news story, that means you are not a journalist, you are a historian. So in order to be a journalist, along with the context, you also need to have your own content. So content actually depends upon the message, what message you are actually trying to give through that news, through that story. So there are different functions of message, how message works, what actually message do. Let's find out. So these are the basic functions that message perform. It is to aware, the inform. Yeah, it is to persuade the audiences, the public, the readers. It is also to educate, right? So surveillance of the environment, what do I mean by that? By that, it means that a reporter or any media outlet is just like a, drone. They just keep check over the everyday happenings, right? Just in order to inform and keep people aware of the everyday happenings. So this is one of the basic function of message. Another one is to persuade. It influences the people not negatively but positively. Mind that. It also, educate. It transmit new knowledge, yeah, from one another, from one end to other, across all the audiences. So these are the basic functions of messages. And message comprises of, or message is the main material of content, I should say, of news content. Now when I discuss about content, it also reminds me of, news content being converted into an entertainment content. So it is a debatable issue. You may have another point of view which you may, post me. You may, put a question, send a question through an email, and then we can discuss. You can make an appointment with me. I have my office hour on Tuesday and Thursday for 1 hour from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. So you can, beforehand, you have to make an appointment with me. So we can debate this there. But the basic thing that I want to explain here is about, how news content is becoming entertainment content. It is a competitive world where every media outlet is competing with the other. So in order in the rush of this competition, every media outlets have, converted the news content into a news product, what I would rather say. So the news are coming very fast now. It is faster than it is to be. Actually, we do not need so fast news, what I believe. Yeah, you need to have a understanding of the news content, the seriousness of the issue first. So the news content has also become an artificial content nowadays. So there are days, or which I have come across, where I found that the news studio room has converted into a war zone during the, Russia and Ukraine war. So many newsroom studio that just, put the graphics behind them, converting the entire newsroom studio as a war room, where you will able to see jet fighters flying over the head of the news presenter. There are several tanks put into the studio, through graphics. So this is a way to, seek the attention of the audiences. So when you seek the attention of the audiences only on the basis of, attraction, so what does that mean? That means that you are diverting away from the news content. Next, and in that way, you are distorting the value of news. You are trivializing the serious concern of, Russia and Ukraine war. And this is why I believe that, yes, somewhere news content have become entertainment content. So there are differences between, a news producer and entertainment producer. It's simply because, for news producer, they may not have control over the news content, but for an entertainment producer, they have control over the content, because news changes every second, every moment. But for an entertainment producer, they just fix an actor, an actress, a villain, then they create a scene, and they have complete control over the content. Gratification is delayed in case of the news content. Through the news content, it may not be so that, your news have the direct impact or an immediate impact upon the readers. It may take some time, but for an entertainment content, it is very easily, it is very easy to get influenced by the entertainment contents. It immediately influences people. It holds that power. So this is the basic difference between a news producer and an entertainment producer, or news content and then entertainment content. News system, when I say about news system, it means an entire the very picture that comes to my mind is about power. Who runs the news actually? So there are, three main stockholders here who are actually, running the system of the news. One is the corporation, that may be business houses who have the majority stocks of a particular media outlet. Then there are some government run media houses in different countries across the world. There are some individuals which are also termed as an independent journalism. So individuals are also controlling the news system, or they also have that uh, you know uh, uh, very few independent media houses you will find, obviously. But these are the three main stockholders who actually get the control over the news systems. News practices, when I say about news practices, it actually take me to the commercialization of news, because uh, the very hierarchical processes that are associated with news practices, this reminds me of news as not as a content, but as a product. So these are the different steps. There are various steps of news practicing. One is planning, gathering, selection, presentation. So this is how the news are practiced today in today's world, right? There is a planning where either long-term planning or short-term planning will be there in order to get more of the readers, more of the viewers, right? And there will be diary writing, there will be yeah in this way the planning will be done. Gathering, for different media outlets there are different gathering approaches. For print media, uh, one individual reporter and a notebook is sufficient, but for a broadcast news channel, a huge army, right? A huge army is required. So gathering of news in case of broadcast news channel, it is very limited, because they have very limited resources. Selection, so selection here, yeah, in our later classes we will learn about the gatekeeping theory, where you know the issue of selecting news comes up. So when there is a selection is one of the step of news practices, where you'll find that a reporter, even though he or she goes to the field and collect the news, he do not have the complete control over the news, and he or she do not know whether his or her news will get published the next day or not, because that report goes to the sub editor. Even the sub editor do not have the complete control over that. That again goes to the editor. So editor selects the final list of the stories. So even there is a power. That's why I said that news system, who runs the news, there is a power, right? So this is how the news is selected. Sometime uh, sometime even the news agencies are also the stockholders. If yeah, uh, they are also the stockholders, because they also hold the authority to uh, uh, one another theory that we learn about is framing theory. So news agencies also select the news. They select the news according to their own they have that authority to prioritize the news stories, and likewise they will just send it, or they will just have it in their website, and other media outlets will just try to pick it up and then publish it in their newspaper or in their website, or just broadcast it. Presentation is the final stage of the news practice. If presentation is not done well, then the all other steps, planning, gathering, selection, will be in vain. Presentation is the final stage, is the news presenter, he or she has the huge responsibility to get maximum of the audience to your news. So the news presenter must also keep in mind that they have the proper vocabulary that may be convenient, or that may be familiar with all the audiences. And they should also keep in mind about the literacy thing of all the audiences. So it is about the presenter, news presenter, who actually takes the news story to a bigger platform, from the reporters, from the reporter's mind to the audience's heart. So it is how the all the four steps goes on. So this is all about today's class. I think in this video I have explained about the basic of news, the context, the content, the system of the news, and the practices of the news. So I will look after the queries from you. You can send me through an email, and I will keep uploading some more videos on different topics. So I hope that everyone will try to make the maximum use of this video as a study material. So thank you everyone.